Welcome to Life, Death, and the Law, presented by the law firm of Deason, Garner, and Hansen, hosted by attorneys Sean Garner and Adam Hansen.
We've decided as a society, 18, you're an adult. Okay? That's just an arbitrary number we came up with. Why 18, not 17 or 16 or 15 or 21? I don't know. But 18, that's the number. Okay? Now you're a legal adult. Upon that day happening for our kids, you can no longer make their medical decisions for them. You're not their parent in the eyes of the law. They are their own person. And they would have to execute a power of attorney naming you as their agent in order for you to actually have authority in their life the day they turn 18. So I think leading up to that, we do our youth, at least here in our culture, in the United States culture, I think we do them a disservice getting them prepared for that day when they leave the nest. That's the hope. They leave the nest, like Sean is saying, and they become something taking your name on into the world and hopefully making your name look good, right? For generations to come. That's the goal. And to make our society better, whatever that looks like. And I think we do them an injustice when we portray life. I would even go as far as saying it's a fake portrayal of real life through social media. So they're living their lives on their phones, on digital media, through Facebook, through Instagram, through WhatsApp, whatever you want. These social media ways of connecting with our world, I think are a false sense of foundation. And when they turn 18, they realize, oh, wait, I can't just jet set around the world like this Instagrammer does. I can't go to Greece because I have no money. I don't even know how to execute a lease agreement at an apartment complex. I don't know how to go to the bank or open a bank account. I really feel like we need to do a better job preparing our youth for that day of 18 because I didn't know what to do. I mean, luckily, I was thrown out into it. Sean mentioned this friend of ours that just got home from his church mission. I went on a church mission. Actually, all three of us did. And I was just a kid. I mean, I was 18, 19, and I went to a foreign country where I didn't speak the language, and there was no help other than relying on God to get you through that, and that's part of the process, I guess. But at the same time, it was a process that caused me to not just sit there and think, oh, woe is me, and I'm just, I'm never going to figure this out. I had to figure out how to communicate in a foreign language and get from here to there and get tasks done. And I didn't have my parents to tell me, Adam, this is what you do. Don't do this. Don't do that. And I just had to figure it out. And of course, I was asking questions of other people, of the locals, of people that I was working with. But you just got to figure it out. And I think our youth need to get more training prior to going out into the world, especially in our society, where we are fortunate in the sense that us three, at least here at this table, we got that world training, not because we necessarily asked for it, but you had to adapt really quickly. You were thrown into an environment where it's like, okay, it's either sink or swim.
Well, we live in a culture, in our church, it is highly, highly recommended that you attend a 2-year mission when you turn 18 years old. And that means you submit your name to the church authorities, and an apostle makes a decision where in the world you will go. You have no discretion as to where that's going to be, and it could be Russia. Although I don't know if missionaries are they still being sent to Russia?
Now I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they are.
But it could, as of a few years ago, it could be Russia. It could be South America. It could be. I went to Brazil. Adam went to Spain. Thomas, you went to Las Vegas, and
a different world.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had it the worst of us all. Anyway, we went to these things willingly, and the biggest threat that was out there as missionaries was, if you don't toe the line, if you don't work hard, it wasn't that you had to learn the language in a certain amount of time or you had to achieve some level of success within the church. It was, if you don't follow the rules, if you don't get up on time, if you don't take care of yourself and follow the rules and try and work hard, you will be sent home. And do you remember how you felt when faced with that potential of being sent home, or even going home and not finishing your mission honorably? Do you remember how you felt about that, or did that ever cross your mind?
It never crossed my mind, but
It certainly crossed mine. What about you, Thomas? Did it ever cross your mind about going home early?
Yeah, I was never in fear of going home early, but the thought of if it happened was it was unacceptable to me.
Yeah.
That idea of going home early and facing that, what would be shame, really.
the social
Shunned.
fallout.
Right.
The whisperings behind the...
For me, there was a big fear about it because I grew up in this subculture, which is the LDS subculture, and that is when people go on their mission, they come home better men, better able to go to college and tackle whatever it is in front of them, whether it's a vocational career or whether it's academia. And I saw that in many of my friends before me going and leaving as, some just harebrained kid, and then coming home as a pretty responsible adult that was able generally to speak a different language, but moreover to love God, to have a general love for the people around him, and to work his butt off for whatever it was that he wanted to achieve. And I got to Brazil and thought, well, that's going to happen. It's just going to happen to me. God is going to endow me with this spirit, and I'm going to be able to speak the language, and I'm going to be a hard worker, and this laziness that is my general characteristic is just going to be rooted out of me, and I'm going to come back with a new heart, ready to work and ready to learn. And of course, that's not how it goes. That's not how life works. And so it was super difficult. I had diarrhea for the first year, and I lost 40 pounds. And so I was suffering, and I couldn't speak the language, and kids 3 and 4 years old were running around me in the streets, barely dressed, but making fun of me because I couldn't speak as well as they could. And that's a really humbling experience. And so I really buckled down and started getting up at 5 a.m. instead of the required 6:30 a.m. and studying the language and really applying myself. And of course, it was a big come to Jesus for me, literally, because I had to have God's help in doing it. I realized at a certain point I couldn't do it myself. I needed God's strength. I needed God's grace to make me something more than what I was. And then when I saw that starting to build, it became something that was addictive. I wanted more of it. I felt that I was learning, I was growing, my mind was expanding, my body was becoming more adapted to the circumstances. And so the hardships weren't something that I feared or tried to avoid. They were things that I confronted head on. And so when I got home, I couldn't stand any type of inactivity. I had to be doing something productive all the time. And when I graduated high school, I didn't want to go to school at all. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I didn't want to go to school or work hard for some type of advanced career. And when I got home from my mission, I was like, yeah, bring it on. I'll go to school. I know how to learn. I know how to buckle down and figure things out. And it doesn't always have to be going to school, but it is about knowing you have the potential as long as you put your mind to it and are willing to go through what it costs to achieve your goals.
If you have questions or want to know more about something that was discussed today, please call the law firm of Deason, Garner, and Hansen at 928-783-4575 or visit yumaestateplanning.com.